Today, we're looking at the Bears' new offensive coordinator and the firing of DePaul's men's basketball coach.
Plus, a look at where the transfer portal has taken some Ramblers of the recent past and the Chicago Bulls' inaugural Ring of Honor class.
I'm Lucas Kihmm.
And I'm Chris Gloff.
All this and so much more.
Rambler Sports Locker begins now. While we have a full show ahead, I think the most important story is that we have Lucas back from Rome, hopefully without an accent or pseudo-European ego.
Smell the roses and blow out the candles. Nothing beats that feeling of being on camera again. I love my time in Rome, but I'm happy to be back in the studio for my last semester of school.
I'm so glad I get to share my RSL debut with your highly anticipated return, and I'm dying to jump right in.
Well, we got an exciting show to kick off 2024, Chris, starting with the latest recap of your favorite Loyola teams. Here is Amelia Villhauer with your Rambler Rundown.
Classes may have been out, but that doesn't mean that Loyola Sports stopped their grind. New year means new resolutions, and the women's basketball team seem to have done just that. They have won 5 out of the 7 games they've played since 2024 started. They traveled to Massachusetts to take on UMass on the second day of spring classes and secured a 13-point win. Loyola then returned to Gentile Arena and played St. Bonaventure on Saturday. It was a slam dunk of a victory with Loyola winning by 28 points. The Ramblers then traveled to Fordham where they won by 9 points. The Ramblers traveled to Pittsburgh to face Duquesne on Sunday at 1 p.m. There must be something in the water in the locker rooms, as the men's basketball team also won 5 out of 7 games of 2024. The first game after classes began last week was a nail-biter home game against UMass, where Loyola won by 1 point. The Ramblers then traveled to New York and triumphed over Fordham by 4 points before traveling south and taking on VCU in Richmond, Virginia. They lost the game by 7 points. The Ramblers faced St. Louis at 7 p.m. Tuesday in Gentile Arena. While the 2024 men's volleyball season start left more to be desired, classes have begun and it seems to have lit a fire under the team. On January 19th, the Ramblers played Kentucky State and won all 3 sets. They took on Merrimack the next day and secured all 3 sets as well. Loyola will face Long Island University at 7 p.m. tonight in Gentile Arena. New year, same record broken? That's right, Jayla Johnson has broken the 60-meter hurdles record for the second time in less than 2 months. She broke it at the Blue Demon Holiday Invite in early December and just did it again at the Notre Dame Invitational. On January 20th, Johnson was one of 5 program top 10 times clocked and 21 personal records set during the Notre Dame game Invitational. The Loyola track and field team is partaking in the 2-day Blue Demon Alumni Classic today and tomorrow. That's all for the Ramble Rundown. I'm Amelia Villhauer.
Thanks, Amelia. I can't wait to see how the Ramblers compete in this new year. Speaking of new beginnings, Anoushka Nair is here to talk about the new man in town for the Chicago Bears, a team that is hoping to shake things up offensively next season.
Hello, Ramblers. As Lucas mentioned, Shane Waldron will be taking over, and here's what you need to know about him and what this new change will mean for the team. The Chicago Bears just fired their previous offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, less than 2 weeks ago, and they've already hired a new one. Waldron is accomplished in the field with 19 years of coaching experience and has worked for 4 NFL teams. He has served as assistant coach for the Los Angeles Rams, New England Patriots, and Washington Commanders, and as offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. One of the key tasks that he is charged with is finding a new quarterback, so it remains unclear whether Waldron will want to continue to work with Fields or a new quarterback prospect. Overall, this should be a good change for the Bears because they will now get to work with a bright mind from the Shanahan tree. Waldron usually uses the run game to stretch defenses horizontally and has a history of dialing up explosive plays. With Waldron's guidance, the Bears will likely play under center more efficiently now, and they will pass more on early downs. We hope to see a good season for our Bears. For Rambler Sports Locker, this is Anoushka Nair.
Thanks, Anoushka. Similarly to the Bears, the DePaul men's basketball team is searching for a new face with the hopes of breaking their 19-game conference losing streak. Shreeya Pattekar brings us a closer look.
Thank you, Chris. You are absolutely right. Our very own intercity rival, DePaul University, has run into some problems off the basketball court. Their men's basketball coach, Tony Stubblefield, was fired on Monday. Stubblefield was in his third season with the Blue Demons. During his time at DePaul, he only won 1/3 of his games with a record of 28-54. DePaul's director of athletics, Dwayne Peavy, said, quote, "We want to thank Coach Stubblefield for his hard work and determination over the last 2+ seasons to move our basketball program forward through a new era for DePaul athletics. Unfortunately, we did not meet our goals," end quote. This isn't the first time DePaul has parted ways with the coach this decade. In April 2021, David Lito was fired after losing 6 games in a row. Stubblefield was then hired as the new head coach. While DePaul searches for a replacement, assistant coach Matt Brady will serve as the interim coach. The Blue Demons have started their 2023-2024 season with a 3-15 record. It should be exciting to see if the interim coach can turn around the team. For Rambler Sports Locker, this is Shreeya Pattekar. Next up, we have William Bazzone's package on the women's basketball team.
Folks, I'm here inside of the Gentile Arena where the Loyola women's basketball team got their 10th win of the season and their 4th in conference play, defeating the St. Bonaventure Bonnies by a score of 78-50. And 5th-year guard Sam Gallinopoulos had quite a game, reaching her 1,000th point in her career. Your highlights up next. Loyola's second effort against the Bonnies was a complete 180 from their conference opening matchup down in Olean. They played excellently on both sides of the ball, looking confident and in control for all 40 minutes. In fact, their 28-point win was the largest margin of victory in head coach Allison Guth's tenure with the Ramblers. Graduate guard Alyssa Fisher led all scorers with 24 points on 7 of 12 shooting and sank 3 baskets from beyond the arc. Senior forward Satori Tannen was a machine on both ends, chipping in 15 points of her own, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 blocks. But nobody could have had as big of a day as graduate guard Sam Gallinopoulos. She tallied 16 points, and with 4:08 remaining in the game, she put back this layup to secure her 1,000th and 1,001st career points. She became the 29th Rambler to enter this illustrious club, and she had this to say after the game.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely take pride in that. I love my team. I love my coaches. You can't score 1,000 points unless they throw you the ball. So they have a lot of trust in me. They give me confidence every single day. And for this game specifically, we knew we needed to rebound from the first time we played them. And the last, I would say, 3-4 games, we really started to come into our own and play our brand of basketball. And I think you saw that today especially. And we're definitely feeling good. We love each other. You can see it on the floor, and it's just really easy to play with this team when you have that camaraderie.
For a team that was projected to finish 15th in the Atlantic 10 by A10 Talk in the preseason, the Ramblers got their 10th win of the season and 4th in conference play. They currently sit in 7th place through 7 games and look to turn more heads in the coming weeks. Up next for the Ramblers is a continuation of their road trip. They're in Pittsburgh to take on the Duquesne Dukes. The game is Sunday, January 28th, and tip-off is set for 1 p.m. Central Time. Gentile Arena, William Bazzone for Rambler Sports Locker. Thanks, William, and now here's William Bazzone. Gosh, haven't you guys had enough of me yet? Anyways, Philip Alston, Dama Delican, and Des Watson. What do all these guys have in common? They all came from the almighty transfer portal. Over the last few years, transferring has become an important part of roster building in college athletics. For as many great players Loyola's men's basketball team has acquired, they've also lost a lot of great ones too. So let's take a look back at some former Ramblers and where are they now. We'll start with Marquise Kennedy, a local kid who decided to stay local and joined the UIC Flames back in the Missouri Valley Conference. The 5th-year guard is averaging around 5 points in 13 minutes of play. Fan-favorite center Jacob Hudson also flipped back to the Valley, signing with the University of Northern Iowa. So far, he's performed excellently, chipping in 9 points and 4 rebounds in 20 games for the Panthers this season. Heading out west now, junior guard T.Y. Johnson has found his stride with the University of California, Davis. He was used sparingly in Drew Valentine's 2021 March Madness rotation, but he's putting up 16 points a game on 45% shooting for the Aggies. Another recruit from the 2021 class, St. Thomas, has had a breakout campaign at the University of Northern Colorado. Thomas's 19.9 points per game ranks 28th in Division I, and his 9.8 rebounds is within the top 20 as well. He's also been named the Big Sky Player of the Week 5 times this season and could be a driving force for the Bears to make a postseason push. Veteran Loyola fans might remember the name of Paxton Wojcik. He appeared in 45 games for the Ramblers from 2019 to 2021, then transferred to Brown, became an All-Ivy captain and team player, and the graduate guard is spending his final season in Chapel Hill with the 4th-ranked University of North Carolina. Although he's a reserve player, the Tar Heels are hungry to return to the NCAA tournament, and Wojcik has a legitimate shot to be part of a national title-winning team. It's exciting to see some successful Ramblers out and about, and we wish them nothing but the best in their basketball journeys. William Bazzone for Rambler Sports Locker.
Thanks, William. Great to see some of our past Blurs bringing championship-level play to some championship-level teams. Speaking of moving around, rumors suggest the Bears may not be the only Chicago team considering a new home. A report from the Chicago Sun-Times earlier this week claims the White Sox may be leaving Guaranteed Rate Field, their home since the 1991 season. But don't worry, Southsiders, the stadium would be constructed in the South Loop, creating greater public transit access and maintaining the North-South rivalry for years to come.
Well, let's see if that stadium comes before the Bears leave Soldier Field and move to Arlington Heights.
Let's just hope it's before the Cubs break another 108-year drought. In other Chicago sports news, the Bulls held their inaugural Ring of Honor ceremony in early January, honoring legendary Bulls. Josh Lee has the story.
On January 11th, the Chicago Bulls officially unveiled their much-anticipated Ring of Honor at the United Center. This monumental occasion was designed to honor the contributions of basketball legends who have left their own unique mark on the franchise, the sport, and most importantly, the city of Chicago. The inductees into the Chicago Bulls Ring of Honor were headlined by familiar names, such as Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Phil Jackson. Not as popular, but still as important, were players like Bob Love and Artis Gilmore. Bob Love, who played 11 years in the NBA, became a 3-time All-Star and eventually was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2015. His teammate, Artis Gilmore, played 17 years in the NBA, becoming an 11-time All-Star. Gilmore also was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2011. The Bulls Ring of Honor will become a cherished tradition, and future inductees will join the elite group of Bulls icons. As the ceremony concluded, cheers and applause resonated through the United Center, marking a historical moment for the Chicago Bulls and leaving fans wondering who will be the next legend inducted into the Ring of Honor. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Josh Lee.
Thanks, Josh. After a small hiatus, Lucas is back hosting The Ramble. To kick things off, he'll be talking about the impact a coach's presence can have on the team.
Welcome back to The Ramble. I'm here with Joey Knese, Bella Giudice, and Oliver Allen. It's such a pleasure to see you all back and host again. Today, we're talking about head coaches. Most recently, we've seen guys like Bill Belichick, Nick Saban, and Pete Carroll leave the organizations that they basically built. How important is it to a team that these guys won't be there anymore, and what can they expect from their new head coach? How do you think the players feel? Joey, let's start off with you.
So, first of all, I think with Alabama and the Nick Saban situation, you could see some of the players maybe a little upset with that. A year ago, Saban signed a new contract that he should have been in Tuscaloosa until 2030. So some of the players who recently committed might feel a little off about him leaving so suddenly. But with Caleb DeBoer coming in and coaching this new team, I think the championship level of Alabama football is going to stay. I don't think they have to worry about his coaching ability. He's 104-12 in his coaching, in college coaching, and he just led the Washington Huskies to a college football national championship. So I don't think they have to worry about anything. And with like Belichick and the Patriots, I think it's time for them to move on. They finished with 4 wins this season, last in the AFC East. He built a dynasty there, but I think the time has come and passed, and it's time for a new coach there, and I think the players probably feel the same.
Right. I mean, I guess it seems like Alabama's in good hands right now, but what do we think about like other, like the Patriots or the Seahawks who just lost their like legendary coaches? Like, how do you guys feel about that? Oliver?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty big deal. It's definitely going to be a culture change for these teams, but I think it's something that has to happen. I think a lot of times incorporating a new coach into a team can be a huge morale booster. You saw it this past season with the Raiders. They got Antonio Pierce. That was a team that was pretty much completely kind of stasis during Mike McDaniels' tenure. And then you get Antonio Pierce, this team's revitalized. They were a big spoiler down the stretch, beating teams like the Chiefs. But I also think that the head coach can be a little bit overrated as far as a team's performance goes. And you see a lot of teams that have hired a lot of head coaches over the years. The Panthers have gone through 5 head coaches since 2019. So just hiring a new head coach and getting a personality or culture change isn't always the direct answer to team success.
Yeah, and do you think like teams need someone like Antonio Pierce who's gonna like hype up the guys like that, or someone like a Mike Vrabel? Well, he just lost his job too, but like someone who's just always is hyping up the guys, Dan Campbell, you just see how enthusiastic. Do you think that's really important to the players to have that?
I think it's really important. Like we saw with Jim Harbaugh and what he did in Michigan, he really led his team, and what we're also seeing in Detroit with the Lions and Dan Campbell, he's totally taken that franchise around and has led them to the playoffs, and he's really inspiring people in locker rooms. And not just people in the locker room, people outside, like the media, has seen it, and it's a totally different, it's a 180, and I think that it can totally change a team. So yeah.
Cool. I mean, do you see players kind of going to, like, let's just say someone who really liked Belichick and the Patriots, do you see them maybe potentially following Belichick to that team? I mean, I think one case I can think of is about Jimmy Ward from the Niners. He really loved defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans, followed him to Houston. Do you think we'll see players kind of moving to where their coaches go?
I think you could see something like maybe with Jim Harbaugh going to the Chargers, that maybe there's going to be some, college athletes that maybe we're going to look at the Chargers if they're, undrafted, want to sign with the team. But I think with the NFL, I mean, that's their job. They're going to get paid where they get paid, and if they really like a coach, they might follow them. But at the end of the day, like, I don't think you're going to see a lot of people jump ship just because someone like Belichick's leaving. I mean, they're getting their payment, they have their families there and set up and everything. So I think it's going to stay kind of status quo.
Nice.
I don't think it'll be like the Tom Brady effect that he had in Tampa Bay. When he went to Tampa Bay, everybody was like trying to flock like a one-way ticket to Tampa. I don't think it'll be like that, but I can't deny that a couple players might want to play for Belichick or Harbaugh or whoever.
Something like that, yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. Thank you all so much. I'm so looking forward to the many rambles we're going to have this semester. Man, such a star-studded group there. Always a pleasure to talk to those guys.
I'm sure it was a lot more fun than whatever Rome had to offer last semester.
Not quite. Before we wrap up the show, don't forget to tune into the NFC and AFC championship games this Sunday. The Chiefs will be taking on the Ravens at 2 p.m., followed by the Lions taking on my 49ers at 5:30. The winner of those 2 games will be headed to Las Vegas for Super Bowl 58. That wraps up this episode of Rambler Sports Locker.
To stay up to date on all things Rambler Sports, be sure to follow us on X, TikTok, and Instagram at Loyola RSL, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
From all of us here at Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Lucas Kihmm.
And I'm Chris Gloff.
We'll see you next week, and don't forget to turn off the lights.